we're ready to shine, and we're going to start in the NBA. High-profile game last night, Nets-Lakers inside Staples. No Anthony Davis, no Kevin Durant, so it wasn't what it could have been, but it was still star-studded. Ryan, the Nets won by double digits. We're going to get to that in a moment, but first, your thoughts on LeBron James last night becoming just the third player in NBA history to reach 35,000 career points.
Gary, they're not going to appreciate LeBron in full until he's gone. Keep in mind, this was a guy who just scored 35,000 points that was known as a passer, a non-shooter, a guy who couldn't score the basketball but only could, pass and dunk. So, momentous achievement for LeBron James. I think in totality, he's a lot better than Michael Jordan. I respect Michael Jordan's dominance, but LeBron James is the greatest basketball player to ever play the game of basketball. And these achievements just keep on and keep on tallying up. Like I said, I appreciate Michael's dominance, but LeBron James is shattering every single record we have ever seen. And if he messes around and gets a championship this year, or possibly another one next year, he's going to be the greatest of all time in all the haters' eyes, Gary. In all the haters' eyes, they're going to have to recognize it.
So LeBron was obviously the headline coming out of Thursday night, but there was a basketball game, and the Nets did win it. Again, no Kevin Durant, no Anthony Davis, but the Nets continue to stack wins. They're now just one game back of the Sixers for first in the East. Are you ready to call Brooklyn the biggest threat to the Lakers' goal of repeating this season?
They absolutely are. And Gary, as constructed, I think they overplayed any expectations we had last night. Without Kevin Durant, James Harden has been spectacular. Gary, I've been a big component of his ability to pass the basketball. I knew that James Harden was the most equipped, but in all reality, the way they manhandled the Lakers and a guy like Joe Harris absolutely went off and got money. You can't leave Joe Harris. We know he was a three-point shooting champion, but he has really come into his own. And Gary, not to mention, the Brooklyn Nets, they're going to hop into the buyout market. They're going to go out and get possibly Andre Drummond if another team like the Celtics doesn't just hop in and make sure that he doesn't go and join the Nets and grab some more perimeter defenders. We saw they just got Andre Roberson. So, the Nets are coming around, and forgive me if I'm wrong, they are above and early with expectations of how good we thought they'd be.
There is no question. They have been terrific in. When James Harden becomes a willing passer, Kyrie's going to be a shot maker, and Kevin Durant is Kevin Durant. I'm with you. They look like the biggest threat to the Lakers' goal of repeating as world champions this season. Welcome back. Time to shine. It's time to take your pick. The NBA All-Star Game starters were announced last night. LeBron James, leading vote getter in the West. Kevin Durant, leading vote getter in the East. Those two guys will eventually pick their All-Star Game teammates, but for now, we're going to take our pick. Team Hollins starts with LeBron, West Coast. Team Parrish starts with KD, and we're going to pick it up from there. And because I responded to the email chain first, I think I get to pick next. And what I'm going to do is reunite Kevin Durant with his former Warriors teammate, Steph Curry. Big fella, I've seen that combination, Steph and KD, work well before. I'm going to trust it to work well again. So Team Parrish is going to be headline Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, and now Team Hollins, you get the next two picks 4 and 5.
Oh, you're going to make this easy on me? Not only do you give me LeBron James, I'm going to take Kawhi Leonard, who at one point in time was the baddest man on the entire planet when he won a championship. But I'm going to go out and I'm going to take Giannis Antetokounmpo. I know he's playing subpar so far, but he's a two-time MVP. Last year, he was the MVP and Defensive Player of the Year. Only Michael Jordan and Hakeem Olajuwon has reached such feats. And keep in mind, Gary, it's not the playoffs. It's an all-star game, baby. Let's go, Gary.
Okay, you add Giannis and Kawhi to LeBron. You're starting strong, I can acknowledge. You've got the current face of the NBA on your roster. That is LeBron James. But the future face of the NBA, you've left him available for me. I'm going to grab LUKA Doncic here and also Joel Embiid. You mentioned Giannis being a two-time MVP. That's in the past. Joel Embiid right now is playing like possibly the next MVP. So now I've got Steph, KD, LUKA Doncic, and Joel Embiid. You can go grab the next two.
Hey, man, well, if you're going to make it this easy, man, I'm going to reunite the boys. Hey, Kyrie and LeBron. Come on, Kyrie. LeBron is going to invite you back, baby. Hey, we're all in, man. Let bygones be bygones, Gary. And we're going to go with the guy who's leading the NBA in scoring in Bradley Beal. Yeah, I'm firing up threes, Gary, left and right. That's right, Gary. I'm taking Bradley Beal.
Okay, it seems pretty obvious I've now got locked into a bad spot because I've got to take whoever's left, and it is Nikola Jokic. In a vacuum, that's perfect. He's an MVP candidate this season. But now I've got a roster with Joel Embiid and Nikola Jokic. I've got two bigs in the year 2021 in the NBA. That's not ideal. Looks like I'm probably going to be going to my bench pretty quickly. Team Parrish, I think, has to open as a 3-point underdog. Wichita State upset number 6 Houston inside Koch Arena, and this is turning into quite the story in the AAC. As you know, Wichita State forced Greg Marshall to resign in the preseason, and Isaac Brown, who was on Greg's staff, was made the interim coach. The Shockers, they were picked 7th in the AAC. They were supposed to be a non-factor. Instead, as of this moment, they are in first place in the AAC and a projected NCAA tournament team. And there's now a real push for Isaac Brown to get the job full-time. If so, last night's win, and this is crazy to think about, might have really been worth like a $7 million contract. It's a big win, big fella. You tell me, if Isaac Brown, as the interim, can get Wichita State into the NCAA tournament, does he deserve to get the job full-time?
He absolutely deserves to get the job. And ultimately now when we look at coaching, Gary, everybody knows the X's and O's. Do your players play hard for you? Are they respectful young men? Do they do the little things? Have they bought in? And in this COVID-filled season, they have bought in. And the Shockers, baby, they shocked the world last night. That was as much of a playing game, Gary. Forgive me. As you could see, Wichita had to win that game, and they out-rebounded Houston, arguably one of the better rebounding teams, if not the best, from an all-around perspective under Kelvin Sampson in Houston. So, look, man, huge win. The Shockers shocked everybody, and I want to say that was arguably, upset because Houston was up, man. They walked them boys down. That was the upset of the month, at least for right now, Gary. I know we've had worse. You know, UCLA using the San Diego State earlier in the season. We're not going to go there again, but that was the upset that we hadn't seen in a while.
You cannot overstate how big it was. On Thursday morning, Wichita State wasn't in anybody's projected NCAA tournament bracket. When you woke up Friday morning, they're in basically everybody's projected NCAA tournament bracket. Again, for an interim coach to do this, to overachieve to this extent, really impressive stuff. And I'm with you. He's got to be, Isaac Brown, now under serious consideration to be Wichita State's next full-time head coach.